So welcome, Thomas Rush, to the Social Innovation Summit 2018. Thomas is an entrepreneur in residence at the Blockchain for Social Impact, ConsenSys. And he's also a member of the World Economic Forum and Global Shapers. So Thomas, please, first of all, tell us what is Blockchain for Social Impact all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm a part of a group called ConsenSys, which is a blockchain venture studio. So we essentially launch companies in the blockchain space. And the Blockchain for Social Impact Coalition is exactly that. It's a coalition of everything from NGOs, entrepreneurs, tech founders, designers, impact investors, and philanthropists, all brought together to solve challenges related to social impact, but that leverage blockchain for those solutions.
Okay, I see. So you were discussing in your panels and input sessions about whether blockchain is a solution to our biggest challenges, maybe. Would you say so? Like, are we facing the societal challenges with blockchain? Does it solve anything?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely one ingredient in a big recipe that is the world and all the solutions that are being developed. I think it's a pretty powerful one. So probably the biggest kind of lever that blockchain helps to pull in order to expedite change in the world is this concept of decentralization. So essentially removing intermediaries and middlemen from certain transactions, exchanges of value, exchanges of information, and really letting that value instead flow through to the parties who are actually involved in the transaction on either end. So it's really creating a peer-to-peer network for a huge array of resources and information and knowledge.
All right. So could you give us maybe one or two examples for already applied blockchain cases?
Yeah, absolutely. Since this is a social innovation conference or summit, I think one of the ones that I also mentioned on the panel, which I'll speak to, which is tracking the supply chain for tuna, and this is mostly coming out of the New Zealand, Australia area. So one of our startups, Viant, is working with the World Wildlife Fund and a few other partners to track tuna to make sure that the tuna is being fished responsibly and sustainably, and then the end consumer can view that entire supply chain that the tuna has traveled through, and the efficiencies and some of the the efficiencies that blockchain brings to that process. It makes it possible, whereas previously it wasn't.
I see.
Yeah.
So are there factors hindering the blockchain to develop? So maybe are there obstacles because of, like, we see some blockchain cases right now, but there could be more. So is there something hindering the blockchain to thrive and develop?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a few. One is it's still very early stage, so there are a number of problems that just kind of the blockchain community is facing inherently because we're so early on in its development as an ecosystem. So some of those issues are scaling issues, the amount of data that can storage, the number of transactions that can be processed, and those are things that are being worked on by a number of people. There's other kind of more practical grassroots level issues, such as what's the user experience for interacting with the blockchain. Right now it's very difficult to interact with and understand what's exactly happening just due to the nature that it's early stage. So creating more easy ways to interact with it will definitely help solve some of that as well.
Okay, so another question maybe also hitting in this direction would be, do you see the blockchain as a mean to an end, or because somehow I have the impression that for some people the blockchain is already the end itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's definitely a means to an end. Just quote unquote slapping a blockchain on a project doesn't inherently make it more promising or valuable. I think it's kind of what's the outcome you're looking to achieve, and if it's a transparent fishing supply chain, or if it's more efficient payments to refugees, or if it's removing the middleman from a large traditional industry that's extracting a ton of profits without adding a lot of value. I think those are better ends than just simply using blockchain for the sake of it.
All right. And also related to this question, do you think blockchain is right now kind of overrated, and is there a hype about blockchain in our discussions, even here at the Social Innovation Summit?
Yeah, so I think there is some hype. I think some of it's very well deserved, and I mentioned this on the panel. that I like to refer to the quote, which is very often with technology, we overestimate its impact in the near term and underestimate it in the long term. And I think we're kind of in that overestimation phase right now in the short term, but that after we go through the rest of the hype cycle, we'll see long term that it has a perhaps even greater impact than we're able to imagine right now.
All right. So Thomas, for the final part of our interview, I would like you to complete the following sentences.
Okay.
So the first one would be, a person I would really like to meet is...
I'm going to get cheesy with it and say Obama. Would love to hang out with that guy.
All right. Without a blockchain, the world would...
Stay the same.
All right. Technology and social impact are...
Intertwined inextricably.
When we talk about the blockchain in about 50 years, we will talk about possibly about what?
I think we'll talk about the results that it brings about and not about the technology itself, in the same way that we don't refer to the protocols that we use when we send an email. Instead, we just talk about an email, and I think it'll be that same layer of abstraction. Especially in 50 years, we'll just, talk about the actual what's happening in the real world and not all the technology that is coming into play underneath.
All right.
Yeah.
Attending the Social Innovation Summit 2018 so far is...
Fantastic. Energizing.
Yeah. I wouldn't accept another answer. No, just joking. Okay, and the final one is someone who should really definitely attend the Social Innovation Summit 2019.
People who are leaders in industries that have been around since 1950.
All right. Thomas Rush, thank you for the interview.
Yes, thank you.
Great to have you here.
Absolutely, thank you.